Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to X-Smarks the Spot with your host, Rick the Hammer. I am your host, Chriz, aka the Mole, and joining me for this one is Marcus Shadow
Yellow.
and James Phoenix, bringing it via satellite.
Hello.
And as usual, we're going to go with 3 awards from the week, which can be if anything good or bad. And then we'll go back around and go to match and promo of the week. So, kicking us off with our first award of the week. As host, I'm going to do this just because I know the others are going to take it. I'm going to go to me. Oh, yes, I'm using my host powers for good. And my first award is called Kiss Your Mr. Ass Goodbye.
Nice.
Thank you. I like that name. And that goes for WWE trainer Monty Sop, better known as Billy Gunn, being fired on Friday by WWE for testing positive for elevated levels of testosterone in a powerlifting meet on July 25th. Gunn had a 37-1 testosterone ratio. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce the other word. Well over the 4-1 limit. WWE found out about the suspension just a few weeks ago, as they did not even know he was powerlifting or about the suspension from that for the drugs, and they fired him. So Billy Gunn is no more.
Wow. Did not hear about that one.
So what's everyone's thoughts on the Kiss Your Mr. Ass Goodbye? Great name.
Huh? It's a great name. Too bad. So, did they announce a replacement for him?
I believe James Storm from NXT is probably going to. It was rumored James Storm from on NXT will probably get promoted up to Billy Gunn's position.
Well, that's definitely an improvement.
To be fair, it's Billy Gunn. A mop is an improvement.
Ha.
Can Moppy have his job?
Don't speak ill of the dead.
Fair enough.
But no, taking us away with that first award will be Marcus Shadow.
Okay, my first award is the only award that comes from Raw. And I call it Really? Really? And it goes to The Miz for losing against Dolph Ziggler. I'm like, oh, come on, Miz should have won that match.
Oh, fair enough.
Especially if they had no intention, spoiler, especially if they had no intention of having Tyler Breeze win his match. There was no point to Ziggler winning aside from, oh, he's a hit with the fans. That's fair enough, but come on, Miz needs the win more than Ziggler does, seriously.
Fair
That's
enough.
my opinion, but yeah, I thought the Miz should have won that match. But back to the host.
Over to Jim.
Okay, I don't have any catchy titles this week because I'm doing this via satellite and I didn't have time to come up with any. But I did feel that it was worth mentioning that just today, it was made known that wrestling legend Nick Bockwinkel has sadly passed away at the age of 80. Also, there would be Hall of Famer as of a few years ago in, I'm not sure what year that was, but I know he was in the Hall of Fame. But he was just shy of his 81st birthday. He had a variety of health issues. It doesn't specify what he passed away from in the article I'm looking at, but he had some. So he had given up duties from other things, including being the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club due to health issues. And they were the first ones to report the unfortunate news. So we wish our best to the family of Nick Bockwinkel. There would be Hall of Famer and wrestling legend.
That is a shame. He was a legend.
Indeed.
And so my number 2 award, I've called it.
You said number 2.
I've called it Table for 2.
Okay.
And that is for Paige doing the PTO on the table to Becky Lynch.
Ooh.
Because that was just a great spot.
It was.
The match was but that bit afterwards was kind of awesome with the PTO on the table. I'm like, oh yes. And if that was 2K16, that'd do more damage.
Which I 16, it would have put her through the table.
Divas don't have that ability.
Oh. Fair enough.
I don't know why. I've tried with the Divas. They don't have that ability. But yeah, with the With that move on there, though, it would be more painful on the table anyway, because the table's is meant to be more of a harder surface. So logically, it would hurt, and it just looked cool as hell with the PTO on the table. So it's a table for two, referencing both the phrase "a table for two" and referencing the WWE Network table for three at the same time. Thank you.
Yeah. Although I would put to you that particular move probably would hurt Paige more than whoever she's applying it to on a table, because when she does it, she lifts them up off the ground, so it's actually hanging. So actually, most of what the table would be doing would be to Paige's knees, not to who she's holding in the air.
Probably, but it's wrestling. I mean, to be fair, you don't need to point that out, because most moves do more damage to the person doing it than those performing it. That's the magic of wrestling.
True, but most moves that are done on the table, while that is true, still increases the amount of damage done to whoever you're doing the move to when you put them through a friggin' table or on a table.
No, not really, because I put it to you like the pedigree. They took their head in between their legs, and it's their knees to go through the table, not the person's head. RKO is cushioned by the arm, but it's a table. We're supposed to believe it does more damage.
Fair enough.
Sorry for spoiling wrestling for people out there. I will be doing a show of Wrestling's Greatest Secrets Revealed, where I dress up like the Masked Magician soon.
Yeah.
I have to keep remembering that show. That show was awesome. One day, and it is available online for people to check out, and it is available on various sources. We need to review that, because it's fucking terribly hilarious.
Sure.
Oh my god, it's a stunt granny! But over to our stunt granny of Marcus Shadow.
Hey. Fuck you. Yes, my next award, and I couldn't really come up with a clever name for this one. I called it, well, I just named it after my reaction, which was, what in the world?
It's common sense, though.
And that goes to The Undertaker tombstoning Brad Maddox dressed as a turkey on the Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, or Late Show, whatever he's did, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
I saw that, but then they posted a clip of it online. I was like, oh, I watch them. Like, that's hilarious.
I didn't even realize that was Brad Maddox until I was reading the comments, and they were like, poor Brad Maddox. I'm like, wait, that was Brad Maddox?
Yep.
I was like, wow. But yeah, they gave him like the full entrance of anything, like the lightning and the music. I was like, geez.
Yep.
But that made me go, wow, what the hell did I just watch?
I
love the look he gives Jimmy Fallon too when Jimmy Fallon tries to shake his hand. He just looks at him and is like, are you serious?
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that, Jim.
I did not saw that.
You need to check that shit out when you get a chance. On the YouTubes. It's on Jimmy Fallon's channel, actually. Tonight Show channel.
Good to know.
But, yeah, I was just like, really? Really? And reading some of the comments, like, one of the comments was like, yeah, Taker must be retiring soon if he's actually doing stuff like this, because Taker never makes appearances on, like, talk shows and stuff. Because it ruins the mystique of the character.
Yep. Well, he used to when he was Biker, but that's because obviously different character, sort of.
Yeah.
I miss when he used to do almost like Biker Taker and stuff. That used to be fun.
Right, but I don't know if you agree or disagree with that comment, Mole, being a huge Undertaker fan yourself.
Well, to be fair, I've already said it. He's definitely retiring soon. They're making a huge deal out of his career right now.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrating his years, and with what he's got left, he's probably going to retire soon.
Mm-hmm. So I was surprised he agreed to tombstone someone on a fucking, like, concrete or tile floor. Like, because there was, like, no fucking path. He just walked out and fucking did it. I was like, damn, dude, that must have hurt your knees.
Yeah, but wasn't he also dressed as stuff? Plus, the guy was dressed as something cushiony. Plus, to be fair, he's tombstoned people on concrete before.
True, but he's like old now.
I point out, I believe he at one point tombstoned a dude through a cell.
Yeah. Well, onto a cell.
Yes, but wire mesh has more give than fucking concrete.
True. Okay, I didn't know if it was like the video game where he tombstoned him and then the cell broke and he fell through.
Well, even if he
No.
did, wire mesh still has more to give because
No,
it's-
he tombstomed him onto the cell. However, if you want about when he put him through it, it was like a choke slam.
Oh, okay.
And then you had that great image of Undertaker just standing over it. It looked great.
Right.
yeah, that was probably the only thing that really surprised me about that is, they didn't give him any padding or anything. That had to hurt Old Man Taker's knees.
Possibly, but you might have padding underneath his pants.
Mhm.
Maybe.
It's not unheard of for someone like Undertaker to have knee pads on underneath their wrestling jeans. That's why they're a little baggier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in all fairness to Old Man Taker and his knees, they're still in better shape than Seth Rollins' knees.
True.
Well, one of his knees.
Yeah.
The other one is still in great condition, I will point that out. How dare you hurt the face of the WWE with your slanderous comments. Also, I will point out this isn't the first time Undertaker's done stuff like this.
Yeah.
Although it's the first time in a few years, but that's mainly because he's been on semi-retired.
Mhm.
Like, I still remember as a kid, he used to do shit like this on QVC. Because we used to have a thing on QVC over here where it used to be selling wrestling merchandise. And this is going back years, like almost Attitude-ish era. Like just, when we right around that time. And this is what makes this hilarious, is it's the Attitude Era. And all the wrestlers are over here for a pay-per-view, so the QVC are selling wrestling merchandise. Cool, because at the time, internet wasn't as big, blah, 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 blah. I'm dating me right now with exclusive wrestling pay-per-views for England and QVC being relevant, but I put it to you guys, who would you get to sell t-shirts at the time?
Back in the day,
Yeah,
probably, who would be the most highest selling? Probably Hogan.
it was
Not
after
that
Hogan.
far
Like I said, it was around Attitude Era, so it'd be like Austin, Rock. and stuff.
Austin. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe Austin, Shawn Michaels, Bret
I would
Hart.
say DX would sell T-shirts if you were going to be doing that.
Yeah, that
Okay.
too.
Would this sell t-shirts to you? Oh yes, make sure you buy these t-shirts. My Undertaker's not happy if you don't wear his t-shirt. Oh yes. And then the QVC guy being like, I'm not going to buy that t-shirt. Tombstone. Buy our t-shirt.
That would have been awesome.
That's what happened. And then it cut to the UK pay-per-view at the time when it cut to it. On one of the times they did that, one of the times they cut to it, one of the people that they interviewed was us. Because they interviewed the fans in line for the pay-per-view, and it was us with my foam finger.
Nice.
Nice.
But yes,
Was that the Austin foam middle finger?
I believe at the time that was a big Brahma bull.
Ah, fair enough.
They did different ones for different events, and at the time I'd been collecting them. Like I have a Triple H one, I have an Undertaker, obviously badass American badass glove. I have the thingy Brahma bull head and stuff like that. So they're pretty cool.
Nice.
But over to Jim.
Yes. This is called What the Rock is Cooking Award.
Okay.
And The Rock is cooking, apparently, a new daughter because it was announced on Tuesday that The Rock's girlfriend
That's
is pregnant with a
cannibalism.
baby girl.
That's cannibalism.
Cooking is a euphemism. Get over it. But yes, apparently The Rock's new girlfriend, whose name I do not actually know, is pregnant with a baby girl, and they're having their first child together.
Cooking isn't a euphemism for sex.
Yes, now you understand.
Which means saying I'll have takeaway means I'm ordering prostitutes, or when Marcus says he's having a ready meal, it means inflatable. Cool.
Correct.
Boom! Marcus's inflatable stuff continues.
Let's see. Apparently,
Or
Lauren
Going
Hashian
to
is
go
apparently
cook
her name.
dinner, it means she's going to pull one of her many boyfriends out of the closet for a good night.
But yeah, Lauren Hashian is apparently her name. So they announced that they are having a. They announced that they're having a baby girl, which is going to be their first child together. So more power to them. And yeah, so there you go. More power. Congratulations to The Rock on being a father again. Of course, The Rock already has one daughter, Simone, from his previous wife, Danny Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully one day we'll see The Rock's daughter as a WWE diva.
Mm-hmm. And if you're doing an NXT right now, you can see The Rock's little younger cousin as an NXT diva.
Yep. But to be fair, if you watch Raw, you can see The Rock's younger cousins are the Usos. And Roman Reigns.
This
It's
is
a
true.
big family.
Yeah, you can see The Rock's younger cousin become the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Potentially.
He's going to win it. He's going to win it.
Not if Ambrose turns and joins the corporation.
And winning it doesn't do him any good if 3 seconds later he gets bro kicked and loses it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because the crowd are pretty heavily being not for him to the point of they had to edit Raw.
Did they edit Raw?
Uh-huh. Which, to be fair, like Jim Ross himself even said when some people asked him about it, he goes, that's nothing new or novel. WWE normally tends to do that in taped environments because it puts out the best sounding product for what they want to represent. It makes sense for business.
JR's working for the authority.
Yeah. And my number 3 award is really self-indulgent. I call it in a reference to Jim's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm.
The Heart of the Tweets.
Nice.
This goes to Natalia liking my tweet and the picture for WWE 2K16 which said, "Woo, my custom," and it does say woo, it says, "Woo, my custom Divas title as a champion." Of course, I made it at Natty by Nature, hashtag 2K16, hashtag Divas Revolution, hashtag PS4 share, and a picture of Natalia holding my custom title.
Nice.
Boom. Heart of the tweets. Self-indulgent as all fuck, but I can do that.
No, that's worth it. That's awesome.
I believe in our roles at the X-Pan. I'm more of a tweener if I can be really good or really heelish. I'm a tweener.
Pretty much.
True.
Over to our jobber, Marcus.
Hey.
Sorry, over to our Heath Slater, Marcus Shadow.
Fuck you.
Over to our Hornswoggle, Marcus Shadow.
What? No.
Over to our Gobbledygooker, Marcus Shadow.
What? I am not Brad Maddox. Fuck off.
Over to our Shockmaster, Marcus Shadow. Over to our Gilbert,
you.
Marcus Shadow.
What?
Over to our Mae Young and Mark Henry's son, the Hand, Marcus Shadow.
Over to our Xander Claus, Marcus Shadow.
Oh, dear God.
I don't actually get that one.
Ted DiBiase, and it's on that wrestling thing. That's why I started to think about that recently. It was on that wrestling DVD of the Christmas special. Ted DiBiase bought a Santa Claus, and he was called Xanta Claus, and he was basically played by Balls Mahoney, and he was in like a badass Santa attire that just used to kick ass because everyone has a price, even Xanta Claus.
Nice.
Okay, then. But, yeah, my final award is called He's a Man. And it goes to William Regal for Table for Three with it's called the King's Court Table for Three with Sheamus and Wade Barrett. It was actually a very interesting Table for Three. It was really good if you haven't seen it. But most of it was Regal talking, but, Sheamus talked too. And Barrett said a few things. He didn't say most, but he was kind of I guess you could say he was the host of the show, if you will, because he opened it. It was like, hey, we should, talk about stuff and eat and whatnot. And then they would talk, and at the end, he was the one that closed it out, with the, I think they're giving us dirty looks. They've been here for 3 hours. I think they kind of want to go home. We should probably leave. Thanks for coming, blah, blah, blah. The standard closeout stuff. So he didn't talk that much. It was mostly Regal, which makes sense because he's the one with the most experience, or he's been around the longest. It was just fascinating to hear Regal talk about his experiences and his passions and stuff. Like, a lot of the comedic stuff actually wasn't WWE's idea. That's not how they booked him. It was his idea because they wanted to do something similar. And he said, well, if you're going to do it, go all the fucking way. I want to do it all the way because comedy is one of his passions. He loves wrestling, and he always loved comedy. He's like, well, if you're going to do something funny with me, fuck it. Make it funny. Don't half-ass this shit.
Yep. Which, I like William Eagle. I will say,
Yeah.
I think William Eagle is a great talker, despite what Ric Flair says.
Oh, what did Ric Flair say?
I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to justify that right now. But
Fair enough.
I'll talk to you guys about that after the podcast. It's just, let's not delay this.
Fair enough. But yeah, William Regal just, I don't know, he was really awesome. He's just really real. And I found interesting, like, the he's a man thing was, like, one of his first gimmicks, but he had just come over from WCW when he was, like, fucking, like, stoned off his ass and shit. And WWE didn't realize that. So William Regal himself actually doesn't remember much, if anything, of that period of time in his life because his brain was all fucked up by drugs and shit. And he said it was basically a period of like a couple years or whatever, a couple months. I don't know. It's a short period that they did that gimmick, and then WWE realized he was fucked up off his ass and sent him over to rehab. And then he came back, and that was the end of that gimmick. He came back as what was it like? I think he came back actually as William Regal at that point or something, or Lord Steven Regal or whatever. But yeah,
He came back as William Regal. Lord Steven Regal is his WCW persona.
fair enough. Yeah, he came back as that. I also love the story he told about. Remember the time when he was a heel? And he always used the power of the punch. He had the knuckle dusters, brass knucks. Well, he knew, of course, kind of illegal to carry weapons through airport security and stuff, so he never really carried knuckle dusters with him. He always had a pair of rubber ones because, as he pointed out, and rightfully so, if you're walking around and people recognize you, you never know when you're going to need to take a picture. And if, my gimmick is I'm this heel that knocks people out with brass knucks, I should have a pair of brass knucks on me to take pictures with. So I always carried around a pair of rubber ones. Well, one time he was going through the airport security and all the alarms went off and the police surrounded, came in and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't realize it was for him. He's like, well, what's going on? And as it turned out, the security X-ray thing picked up his rubber knuckle dusters that was in his bag because he had it with him, obviously. And they pulled it out, and that's why they converged on him. And then some of the security actually recognized him and was like, wait, you're William Regal. And they started fucking around with it and stuff. And Regal just kind of facepalmed and was just thinking, please just put my knuckle dusters back in my bag, please. And from that point on, he never carried the knuckle dusters ever again.
Nice.
I'm like, it's stories like that. That's why I love Table for Three. And William Regal's just chock full of them, and he's very smart too, because he talks about he talks about gimmicks and wrestling and stuff. Unfortunately, and he's kind of right about a lot of this stuff. It's changing now, but for the most part, he's still kind of right about yeah, you could be this great wrestler and stuff, but people don't care if you're a good wrestler or not. It's all about the moment. That's what people remember. He's like, yeah, I'm this great wrestler and stuff, but when people come up to me, a lot of times they don't say, hey, you're the guy who's this great wrestler. They remember the moments that I've given them as the character on TV. That's what they remember.
To be fair, he is right, obviously, and it's not changing as much as people think, because while NXT is becoming huge, I point you over to people like Tyler Breeze, who once they go onto the main roster doing the exact same thing, people are just like, that's boring.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a really good one because they talk about a lot of, kind of the business side of it, but from the perspective of the wrestler. Because especially with who they have on the day at the table, they have Sheamus and stuff, and they're constantly talking about reinventing yourself and reinventing your gimmick, keeping it fresh, because he said again, it's all about the moment, and if you aren't fresh and you start getting boring, you're not going to have the moments because people aren't going to care.
Yep.
It's really fascinating, and I highly recommend any wrestling fan whatsoever to actually watch this one. This one, in terms of the wrestling side, is probably one of the most fascinating, if not the most fascinating, Table for Three I've seen yet.
Has to be better than last week's.
Last week's was... I'll probably give it an award. What was last week's?
Last week's was that one where it existed for the sole purpose of trying to make us get behind Charlotte Flair.
Oh, that one.
Keeping her gimmick of being exactly like her dad's. It's basically a Table for Three that was the equivalent of when John Cena says, I'm the last one in and the first one out, or first one out, last one in, or whatever the fuck he normally spews with the constant shit he does, and he's like, buy my t-shirts because people love me, that's why I do this, get behind me. It's like, fuck off, no one cares.
Mm-hmm. True. But yeah, I really like this one. I guess, I mean, unless you're a Barrett fan, then you might not like this one as much, because like I said, he doesn't say much. You know, there's like one or two stories around him, but for the most part, he doesn't say much. He just laughs at everything. I mean, it's because he like even knows a lot of stories, because like he started out with Sheamus. They wrestled together, over there in England and stuff like that. So they have some stories from that, but yeah, he doesn't talk much.
To be fair, him not talking much wouldn't matter if you're a fan of his or whatever. It's like the table for free with Sting. Sting and Sting, Vader and stuff. Vader hardly spoke.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a great table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I said this because I thought maybe like if you're a fan of Barrett, you might have wanted to hear some of his stories and hear him talk a little bit more. I'm just saying, don't expect that. He doesn't talk that much.
Yeah, I was just saying you get that with all the tables. There's always one who doesn't talk as much.
True.
Which normally works, but fair enough. Over to Jim for his last award.
Thank you. Also, am I the only one who thinks that at some point, as a joke, they need to do a table for three where two of the three are the Dudleys and the third guy gets put through the table?
Nice. We also need to do one next week of Undertaker, Kane, and Sting. But Kane needs to have his mask on the whole time, but yet a giant fucking bib on to eat his lobster.
Yeah.
Because I would not stop laughing.
And because he's masked, Kane doesn't talk. He'll just hold, like the old school, like the full mask, and he'll just hold up signs that say things.
Oh, I want him to talk, because when they ask him, how would you like your steak? Flame grilled. I just want him to sort of stay in character. But no.
What's the current mask, Kane? Doesn't he wear the open mouth mask?
He doesn't.
Yeah, so he'd be able to talk and eat and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I know, that's why Jim said bring back the old mask.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
But anyway, my award is called That's Not How That Works. And I mentioned this during Raw. But I thought of this as I was sitting here. But I mentioned this during Raw. So after the Divas match, in which Becky Lynch, despite being a face, won with heel tactics and nobody cared, Paige attacked her and then put her in the PTO on the announce table. And as I pointed out, okay, for an Impact move that works, but performing a submission on the announce table does not make it more painful. That's not how that works.
That's what I said earlier in this podcast.
Yeah, but like I pointed out, technically that is how that works.
For Impact moves, yes, it hurts because you're putting them through the table or into the table, but the submission, it doesn't do that. It's the same as if you did it in the ring. She's applying the same exact move.
I would say it depends on the submission. The reason I said it doesn't work is because that particular submission, she's holding them up. She's not putting pressure onto the table or anything. But if you do something like, say, I don't know, a sharpshooter, you're still kind of face planting them into the table. That's going to hurt a lot more than if you're face planting them into, the ring mat.
True, I can see that, but in her case, she lifts them into the air.
Yeah, but I was pointing out, I was going with the logic that we've used when they've done submissions on top of ladders and when they've done them on top of the cells and stuff where WWE makes out, it hurts more story-wise or in universe because they're technically higher off the ground, so the gravity's weighing them down more for the submission.
I didn't think of that. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's why like the Walls of Jericho on the ladder looks awesome and it's meant to hurt more. Which you could also argue, well, to be fair, their back's on a ladder, but that's not meant to be why they've said.
Yeah, they're being bent. I thought it was because they're being bent into a ladder. I mean, I would think that would hurt. That looked like it hurts.
Yeah, and why like they've done like a crossface on top of a cell before now, and WWE turns around and says it hurts more because the gravity is bigger because they're higher up, so it's pulling them down more.
What is this crossface? What is this crossface you speak of? I cannot remember anybody using this move.
Ironically, it's not the guy you're thinking of.
Oh.
I would say two things. One, I always thought they just did it just because it looked cooler when you did it at a higher, up like on a ladder or whatever. But number two, I would say fair enough, but that argument's invalid for this because the table's at the same height as the ring. So
It
you're not
is.
getting any more gravity.
It is. It's at the same height as that. However, they have to get onto it, and they make out that being on the table is somehow greater than being on top of that. It's like when someone jumps from a ladder, even if, like when Dean Ambrose was about to jump off at Bray Wyatt during their Christmas one, it's on the DVD, and I made fun of this. He goes to jump off the ladder, and if you look at the height of him, he's not all the way at the top of the ladder. He's the same height as the ring post, but yet it's meant to do more damage. It's wrestling logic.
Fair enough.
Complaining about that is like complaining about how, well, Big Show uses a knockout punch as a finisher. How come when he punches someone in the face normally when they're in the corner they're not knocked out?
I would say it's the same reason that Roman Reigns doesn't ordinarily knock people out with his fist without cocking it first, because Big Show has to do that pump in the air thing first to charge it up.
I would make the case Big Show doesn't. While Reigns is the Superman punch where he has to jump, that's logical because the jump will make it more impactful. That's an actual UFC move. Big Show's, he's done it before as catch finishes and stuff, as they jumped and just been boom, knockout punch. And it's like, oh, okay. Why is that more impactful when he punches normally? I don't get this. Why does Lex Luger's arm only knock people out if he runs and sets it up perfectly to look the same as a finisher, yet when he hits him with an elbow normally, it doesn't do it? I'm confused.
Yeah, it's like why does the Rock's elbow drop hurt more just because he wiggles his arms around and runs across the ring first?
Yep. Why does Hulk Hogan always talk about his 24.5-inch pythons when do a leg drop?
That's a question he's been asking himself for
40
years.
That's what I was referencing. I was referencing the fact he brought that up, and it was a way of referencing Hulk Hogan's good stuff he's done recently instead of the negative.
Yeah.
Because it was brought up in one of these as well. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's time for our match and our promo of the week. Taking us away first will be Marcus Riddle.
So my promo goes to the 20-minute Triple H promo at the beginning of Raw. Okay, not quite 20 minutes. It was 15 minutes, but
that is also my promo of the week.
That promo was really, really good. No, just the way Triple H did it, I'm like,
It's
okay,
nice.
yeah, you haven't lost it. It's awesome.
That's my promo of the week as well, but I will say it's not a 15-minute Triple H promo.
It was about 15 minutes. I kind of timed it. I was like, how long is it? 'Cause
The reason I say that is Roman Reigns and other people were involved. The reason people always made fun of the 20-minute Triple H promos is when he was heel and when he was overly arrogant, he would come out, have the microphone, and he'd be the only one that talks in his own promo and be the only one there for 20 or 30 minutes of Raw.
Sure. Well, to be fair, Reigns didn't say much, but yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it was just a really good promo, you know. If you want to be the man, all I ask is that you be my man.
Yeah, and in all fairness, that's not totally true, Mole. During at least half of those promos, Ric Flair stood behind him and smiled.
But didn't say anything. And also I was referring to like when he was the more McMahon-Helmsley era and didn't always have Stephanie.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, that was an awesome promo. It was one of the best promos I've heard Triple H cut in a while.
It was a good promo, like when he was talking about why you sell out is a bad word. He's like, no, that's just something people use to have some sort of morality, but it's just because that's a way of succeeding in life.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
And of course, while they did have to edit out the fact Roman Reigns has been booed like fuck, WWE needs to pull the trigger and turn him heel, it's a case of it was still pretty good the way they did it with Reigns turning it down and putting up the fight.
Mm-hmm. I also like the end of it where Triple H is like, thank you, Roman. Thank you for reminding me why we didn't choose you. Now, good luck. Bye.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, that works so well. My match, and this might surprise you, my match of the night goes to Cesaro versus Sheamus. That was a really good match. I like that match a lot. Cesaro was fun to watch in that match, and you know, you had the exterior story going on between Wade Barrett and that football player.
Wayne Mooney.
Wayne Mooney, yeah. It was
Rooney.
Rooney, sorry. Wayne Rooney.
Wade versus Wayne. Wade versus Wayne.
Yeah, it was just, it was like two stories being told and told well, and the match quality itself didn't suffer because of the story. The match actually was a good match. It was a solid match through and through, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, I will say the Wade Barrett, Wayne Rooney incident, I preferred that better when it was Stardust, Steve and Mel just a few months ago.
Yes, true.
Over to Jim.
Well, obviously, my promo was already mentioned as being the Triple H Reigns promo. Triple H did a great job with that promo. They did a great job setting it up as okay. Now it's the storyline is now without needing a major heel. The storyline is can Roman Reigns overcome these other guys and show the authority that he can legitimately become the champion without selling out to them. I think that's a great way to book this, and Triple H sold it well. And considering they had very little time to put this together after Rollins blew his knee out, they did a great job working this storyline in and making it something that's awesome, leading into Survivor Series, and this tournament in and of itself is awesome. And I love where it's going, and I like this whole story arc, so I like that promo setting it all up. My match, I actually went to the New Day versus Neville and the Usos. Yeah, thank you. I thought that was a pretty good match, and I like the fact that Xavier Woods actually got a pinfall on somebody.
Was that on Raw?
That was on Raw.
Well, that must have been the match they cut out then. Fair enough. I don't remember that match.
Yeah, well, it was the New Day versus Neville and the Usos. Neville and the Usos did some flying around. The New Day got some of their stuff going on, and Xavier Woods ended up getting the pinfall, which doesn't happen often. I like that they did that and let him get a victory.
Oh, I would have loved to see that match. Oh, well.
Indeed.
Nice. My promo, which we said was the Triple H Roman Reigns promo at the beginning, thought it was pretty good because that proves what we were talking about just last week of they need to turn Reigns heel. The crowd aren't buying this, and essentially speaking, as like James pointed out, the storyline is now can he overcome all the odds, including going steamrolling through fan favorites like Cesaro and Dean Ambrose and other people who the crowd really like. That's literally what they did for Cena, and we hated it when they did it for Cena. It's like, yeah, I can I'm at the point where I'm like, I like Roman Reigns, but I think he should be heel. And I think that promo proved it. But yeah, my match of the night went to Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz.
I almost gave it to that match.
That match was perfect.
Except
that
match lost.
Miz isn't in a storyline right now.
Yeah, and this doesn't further Ziggler's storyline, as I pointed out.
Yes, it does. It furthers his storyline because the Tyler Breeze storyline, for those of you who've actually been paying attention to that one, has been about Dolph overcoming and the injury he's sustained. And Miz cleverly showed ring psychology by working that leg the whole match, and Dolph still managed to overcome and win. Which it's still elevating Dolph. It's still elevating Dolph up as the massive face, and it's doing the whole him overcoming his leg injury storyline, which they've been doing. It furthers that storyline that way, and it lets the Miz basically show. I don't know what you'd call it, but like I said, like the match psychology side of it better because he was actually working the leg to set it up for that figure four. And having Tyler Breeze come out during this would have just cheapened the whole match, and I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think he should have come out.
Plus, Dolph's a champion. He should win that.
So is Miz. Miz was also a former world champion. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, but I said, isn't Dolph a current champion?
Nope. He don't got
or at least he was just like a couple of months ago.
He hasn't had a belt in a while.
Yeah, he lost the Intercontinental title to Kevin Owens, who then lost it to Ryback.
Yeah, as I said, a couple of months ago, because he was Intercontinental champion and lost it to Ryback, who lost it to Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I got it reversed. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's like that wasn't that long ago, and it's like, and they need Dolph looking strong and overcoming his leg injury to further his storyline with Tyler Breeze, and like it works. So yeah, that was my match and promo of the week.
Nice.
So thank you for joining us for X-Smarks. I was your host, Chriz, aka the Mole. Thank you for the other two for joining us.
You're welcome.
And yeah, see you next week also known as the Week of Undertaker.
Dong. Dong.
Keep rolling, 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 rolling.
You done it now. You gone and made a big mistake.
Or hit end call.
Very well.